Hi and welcome. Now, what I want to show you is how you can be able to compute time in Excel. How do you subtract time? How do you do calculations in time? So now, what we're going to look at is how do you enter time? How does Excel recognize that this is time that you're entering, and how do you change from different formats to other formats? So we looked at the date. Now let us look at the time. So if I want to enter, for instance, 8 hours a.m., which means in the morning, the way I type it in is by typing the number, which is it's going to be 8 hours. Then I put a full colon, then I put the minutes, then afterwards a space, then I add the AM or the PM. So in this case, it's an AM. Then I press enter. That's how you add time to it. Okay. But if I was to do any other, for instance, if I probably just go straight by say 8 hours like that, if the format of this wasn't in time, it won't be able to recognize it. So if I come here under the home, if I click on this one, the format here is date and time. This one is in general. So I'm going to I'm looking from the number category there. So if I put 8, then I put that. Right now this has been transformed into the time pattern, but it's a custom type. Okay, so this one, this AM and this one are the same, but this one has been placed in a custom. So if I come under here, I check under custom, this is the one which is showing me here, the time and minutes there. But if I put it, I take it to time, then I choose this format, it will pick up that format. Okay, so that's how you change the formats for time. Okay, if you want to change the format using a shortcut, you can just press Ctrl 1. When you press Ctrl 1, this will pop up the format cell, and here you have a variety of formats that you can be able to choose from. You can use this one, you can use that one, whichever is standardized in your region. Okay, then you can say okay and to pick it up. Alright, so now let us look at what lies beneath the time that Excel shows us. Okay, so right now enter time. I will re-enter the same time, which was 8 a.m. So I'll put the double quotes, then the AM, press enter, it has picked it up. But this is in the custom format. Now let us change it to the general format. Now to change to the general format, you can click there and come and click on general, or what you can do is that you can just press Ctrl Shift tilde. Okay, that the button that lies just below the escape button. Okay, when you press on that one, it automatically changes it to the general format. Now if you look at it, it doesn't make much sense, because how does this become 8 a.m. or how does 8 a.m. become that? What is happening is that Excel operates in proportionates. So it counts a day as 24 hours. So any hours below a day, they are taken as a proportion of the 24 hours. So in this case, we said 8 a.m., which was 8 hours from the 0001. Okay. So now, for us to be able to calculate the proportion of the 8 a.m. in the 24 hours, we say equals, then we say 8 divided by 24, then you press enter. That's why it's giving us that, because 8 a.m. is a proportion of that in that, of 8 to 24. Let's try this again. I'm saying equals 8 divided by 24. I press enter. This one is in the format of this one is in the time format. But if I press enter, I change the format again to general, it will take me back to the actual format, which is that one. And if I come here again and change this one to the time format, it will give me that. Now I want you to see something here. You see the format. What we have here are hours, minutes, and seconds. Now if you want to change that again, you can just come, click on that arrow, and select the format that you prefer. So in this case, it will be this format. You select that one, say OK, and it gets back to that. Alright. So try these ones out. Okay. Let's just look at some few examples here. So if I say we are at 12 a.m. 12 a.m. which is 24 hours, the proportion of these to that is 0. Okay. Now in a case that you've got 8 a.m. which I just showed you right now, it's the proportion, it takes it this way: 8 divided by 24, and when it does that, it reduces it to the smallest ratio. Okay. After that, it divides it to get this decimal. Okay. Then if it is 12 p.m. which is 12 hours, which means to be 12 divided by 24 hours, which you get to have there, which is 1/2, which is 0.5. Okay. So check them out. So in a case that you're dealing with a PM, in case you're dealing with a PM which is above the AM, depending on the format that you're dealing with, if you have got 15 hours, you divide it by, you add it to 12, then divide it by 24. That's when you get the accurate answer. Okay. Alright. Let's look at more examples. Let's do some calculations using time. So what we have excuse me. What we have right now is that we've got a wage, the time in and time out. So we want to find out the total time that this worker worked, and afterwards we should be able to get the gross pay. So this worker started work at 3 a.m. and ended at 6 a.m. So for us to be able to find the time that the worker has worked, we have to subtract the bigger time minus the smaller time, or the end time minus the start time. Okay. When we do that, we get that we have 3 hours AA. So in all logic, if I want to find the gross pay, what I do is that I multiply the wage times the hours. But this will give us a problem. So if I say this times the wage, it gives me $2.66, of which it's smaller than the 1 hour pay. But yet the person has worked for 3 hours. Now where is the problem? The problem is this: when I come to the 3 hours, if I change the format to general, you see what it's giving me. It's giving me 0.125, of which that is the proportion of the 3 hours in the 24 hours. So to avoid that mislead, what I'll do, I'll press this, I'll change this back to time. When I change this to time, let me just maintain the format. When I change this to time, what I'll do is that this, what I would want is that when it has done the calculation, because it is doing this out of the proportion of 24 hours, I would want to multiply it also with another 24 hours. So I would multiply this by 24 hours so that I get the right time. Right now it's showing me 12 hours, but if I shift this to the general format, Control Z, I'm dealing with this one, general format, what it is returning there is the 3, of which that's what I wanted. So I've got 3 being represented there as the 3 hours. So if I multiply with this one, I get the right answer. Okay, so that's how you deal with some few numbers there. If you haven't gotten it, just rewind, check it out again, then perfect it. But as you're doing that, let us look at something. Right now, what I have is that I have my start time and end time. I worked probably the first day from that time to that time. The another day I worked that to that time. Now I want to get the total hours I've worked, and I want to find out the total hours which I have worked. Okay. So for us to be able to do this, what we have to do first is to deal with the first ones, start time and end time. So for us to be able to do that, remember, you have to open bracket, subtract the bigger time, the smaller time from the bigger time, then multiply it by 24 hours. Okay, and make sure that your time format is in general for you to be able to see the hours. So this one worked for 2.5 hours, which is 2 hours 30 minutes. Then for this one also equals, open bracket, our ending time minus our start time times 24 hours. Then now, if I want to find the total, I just say equals to that time plus this time. I'm able to get the total. If I want, I can just say equals, then I say sum of what? Sum of that, comma, that. Alright? And I still get the total there. Okay? Now there's a shorter way which we can be able to do this. The short way is we can try to do is to say equals, then I say sum. Okay? What do I want to sum? I want to sum this minus that one, which is 11 minus that, comma, then I want to do this one, which is 11 p.m. minus 10 p.m. then I close. Now if you look at this, this is representing this number here, and this one is representing that number there. But because we haven't multiplied these ones by 24, we multiply the total afterwards by 24 hours. So say times 24. Then you press enter. Now it gives you 6 there, but you just change the format to general, and you get the same sum total. Alright? Let us look at one last example. Okay? So what we have here is a chart for employees and the wage and the time which they have worked. So now we want to calculate how many hours were worked by these employees. Now to find out the number of hours, we'll do what we've just been doing always. Open bracket, so we're saying the out time minus the in time times 24. It gives us the number of hours worked. So if we run it down, you have all the hours that each person worked. Now if I want to find the gross pay, to find the gross pay, which means I have to multiply the wage times the hours, which will be equals hours worked times the gross pay, which will give us that. Okay, so now this is the gross pay from the hours worked. Okay, So if I run it down, I have my pay for each employee. So this is the gross pay without tax deduction. All right. Now, if we want to find out what is the tax rate or deduction per employee, what now we will have is to say it will be this gross pay times the proportion of the tax, which is that one. Now, because the tax is constant and the reference point is constant, we have to lock it by pressing F4, which means it has been locked. So the reference point will always be the same. So if we press enter there, we know this is the tax for the particular employee. Then afterwards we run it down. Now I want to find the day's pay. What is the amount of money that the employee would take home? So I say equals. Then what I'm doing now is to say I'm removing the deduction from the gross pay. Alright? So which means to be the gross pay minus the deduction. I press enter, I have the take home pay for the employee. Then I run it down to find how much the employee will take home. So try this out, see how it goes, and if you have any question, feel free to email me or to send me a WhatsApp message.